Like, when did you guys actually start talking about moving?
I'm a firm believer that, like, if you wait for things you be ready for something, you're going to be waiting for the rest of your life.
When you go to a house, you know pretty off the bat, like, is this it or is it not?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Any major concern you had an answer to it and helped us out. And, like, it's not as scary as you would think.
All right. Welcome back to another episode of MillenniUP. We are doing another client interview. So today we have Lauren and AJ, past clients of ours. So I'm going to let them take the lead on this. So tell us a little bit about yourselves.
Hello. I'm Lauren. This is AJ. We have 2 kids and we moved in our house about a year ago. It's almost exactly a year ago.
Yeah, a little bit over a year. But
Yeah. I work from home. So, I mean, we were living in an apartment before we moved. So we desperately needed some more space to say
2 kids in one apartment.
Yeah, just for living and especially for working. So
how did you find us?
Lauren Hannon.
Yeah, come from Lauren, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. AJ connected with Lauren. Lauren is my sister's longtime childhood friend, and I didn't even know that you were
I was just
doing this whole thing with her. They had a whole meeting. Lauren, AJ, and Mike had a whole meeting without me. I had no idea. I was very pregnant though at the time, and the idea of looking for a house, as much as I knew we needed it, really stressed me out, and I had no interest because I was very pregnant and I'm like, that sounds like something I don't want to do. And so I actually, as much as you're crazy for doing that, I did appreciate it. Because it took the stress off my shoulders. Yep. And then they introduced us to you guys, and you guys literally, it was the most easiest I didn't do much. To be honest, I don't even think I did much. Yeah. I just, the only heavy lifting I did was some letters.
And carrying the physical children was the heavy lifting. But I mean, so you guys, well, you guys went under contract in the first house that you guys saw, which is not the house that you're sitting in.
And then,
Seth forgot about that.
I forgot about those.
Honestly, every morning when we're late and I'm rushing to get the kids to school, I'm like, I'm so glad we didn't have that house in Birchburg.
It was like a 20-30 minute drive.
The nearest that was too far away from
that house was a reach.
Yeah.
That was a reach. And I actually didn't see it until the inspection, and I just was looking around. I'm like, okay.
So I think the whole thing about that house was too, that was our first house seeing with you guys. I mean, the house was nice. Other than, the deck falling apart.
Yeah, except for the deck falling apart. And
so we had worked with, I don't even know. It was another thing that AJ had met someone, and you were like, they set us up with a realtor, and we were kind of doing all the steps before we met you guys. When I was a little bit less pregnant, and I was more involved in that one, and that was kind of what steered me away from wanting to even do a whole house hunt, because this was just I don't even know if it was his full-time job, the realtor who was helping us.
I'm gonna say, tell me more about that. This I didn't know about.
So he showed us a lot of houses.
He was just unreliable.
Yeah, and I mean, most of the houses we saw looked really nice, but then when we went to see them, they weren't nice. So when we went to see that house that we saw with you, Jen, for the first time, I was like, it was so much nicer than any of the houses that we had seen before.
It's all making more sense now.
Yeah, and all of those houses went so fast, and I was like, we would be fucking idiots. Sorry, we would be idiots not to jump on this opportunity right now if this is going to be anything like it was last time. And so that was that.
That makes more sense. So to go back, so I didn't realize that you had been you may have said it at the time, but when you're in the thick of things, there's always so much going on, little details get missed. But so what was it exactly that had made you kind of, I guess, part ways with that other realtor that was kind of like the turnoff for you?
He was sending us.
There was a lot of things.
Well, he was sending us a ton of houses way over our budget.
I do not understand. I'm sorry, I just don't understand this day and age.
Yeah.
And I was like, dude, this is not what we're looking for. And
he also never ever once got the chance to know us either.
Talking.
When we started working with you guys, we had a whole meeting where we got to know each other, and every time that there was any interactions, it was always including both of us. Whereas before, like with this other man, I didn't know who he was. The first time we ever met him was at the house that we went to go see for the first time. And then any communications.
Yeah, but it was the group text for the win, baby. I mean, you got to do the group text.
Any other communications were only to AJ and not to me. And as a woman, that for me, I didn't like that. I'm just like, okay,
well, because you're both making decisions. You're both the decision makers. It's like, I mean, that's like Seth and I's like rule 101 is who's the decision maker, and 99% of the time it is both people. Yeah. And I mean, shoot, I've lost getting clients over like knowing one party really, really well, but not knowing like the husband very well and not getting to know him enough. And then find out like when I think I have a sure in, we went with the husband's friend from like second grade, whatever. And I'm like, So always talk to both people. If there's any agents actually watching this, and not just the consumer, talk to both people.
So
much sense.
You have to, because
So, all right. Well, it makes more sense why you did. So for those who don't know the backstory, so Lauren, AJ did go under contract, took them out, went under contract from the first house that we saw. They were excited, went in, we got inspections. And for the time, actually, that was relatively unheard of also. Got you guys in, too many things came back, ended up. What was the deciding factor in your inspection report that made you decide maybe we shouldn't move forward?
That deck. It had to be that deck.
Yeah, it was the deck and the roof.
The whole possession was racked.
Yeah.
It was.
There was some other stuff though. The roof was really beat, and the window. I think a few of those windows were shot because your dad, I think, I pulled an extension ladder up and got up there.
When we pulled up to the house, his dad was on the roof.
Yeah, and
I went up there with him.
And your dad thought I was the listing agent. So I was like talking to him and like trying to like cozy up to him. And I think he was kind of like, who the hell is this guy? Like, why is he trying to be nice?
His parents live 5 minutes down the road from us. And so his dad will knock up on the door and I work from home. I have no idea what's going on. I opened the door yesterday. He has his whole truck. He has his ladder. He was like, I'm going to power wash the house for his birthday. I was like, okay. So
if he gets bored enough, I live less than 5 minutes.
I know. Right?
I have to show you before and after pictures because the back did a really good job. Yeah. I mean, it was really bad. I do need to do it.
I know. Oh, I know. And I can't wait to get to that part.
I was like, hey, can I pick up the power washer? And I just haven't got around to it. And then he was like, you know what? For your birthday, I'll power wash it for you.
Let him know my birthday was on Monday.
Yeah.
Are you a Leo, Jen?
Of course. Yes.
Yeah.
What gave it away? No. So yeah, it was like, there was too many large ticket items because like that deck was going to be a complete rebuild. There was no just repairing it.
Yeah.
That roof needed to be completely replaced. And it's
because and AJ, like that deck, I think was like 15 feet off the ground.
Yeah, it was.
It was high.
Yeah, it was like
now it's still like after all the snow that we have, it's gotten a little weathered and but it still works for us. Like I love our deck. So AJ has been casually like replacing like one board at a time. And
that's neat.
Like we wouldn't have been able to do that in the other place. Like
I'm doing it now until we get the deck rebuilt.
Yeah.
There's just I got to make it safe for the kids. That's one thing, but
Yeah, I think that's really what it came down to with that house. Is that house cosmetically on the inside, it was nice. Like they had the whole kitchen renovated, whereas like this house, obviously the kitchen's not renovated, but any issues with this house are all cosmetic, and those are things that we can deal with. They're not safety issues, and we've been chipping away at the cosmetic things piece by piece, but at the end of the day, this house was livable, and that's what that's what we needed.
It's a nice neighborhood too.
Yeah.
Nice development.
Yeah. So who wants to get into the story of how we landed on your house?
Well, Jen, I think since you were,
you were started
every step of it. Why don't you set the table and then those two will take over?
This goes back. So we're gonna kind of bring the story back to before Laura and AJ are introduced into the mix. So I had a listing. My friends were selling their house. They had a pretty spontaneous move to Wisconsin and needed to sell their home, get it ready to sell pretty quickly. It got them connected with an agent out in Wisconsin. They were good out there. And then I was left here to get their house ready to sell. And boy, did I, quite the experience. So got their house listed. hits the MLS. It's not like 5 minutes later, and Lauren's texting the group chat. Oh my God, this house just popped up. I love it. And I said, funny story. I'm the listing agent.
And then I privately text Jen. I'm like, shit.
I was like, cool, because I was thinking of you guys as I was listing it, but I'm like, but it was initially at the top of your budget, and I was like, I don't know, like we'll see how it goes, you know. So anyway, gets listed. I hold the open house. Lauren AJ comes through. Seth is also with them, and so that's where we had the really fun experience of what's called designated agency. So when you have so say you're a buyer and you're really interested in this listing and your agent is also a listing agent, you need to do dual agency where, you know, I would represent Lauren AJ and the sellers, or you can do a designated, which is kind of like a version of it, but we kind of split where Seth then took them over for that property if they had interest. And then I got removed off of any communication with the lender or with their side. So there's no kind of like disadvantage or unfair advantage, if you will.
Jen, we still use that text thread without you on it. The one just AJ and AJ. No, I'm kidding.
Wow, that's so cute. Thanks, guys. Whatever, Lauren and I talk about you behind your back all the time on this room. So they had interest in it. Seth and I then just decided, like, all right, Seth's like, I'll take them. Like, you represent your seller, I'll represent them, and you know, go from there. So I got taken off those messages. Was able to still facilitate that. You guys put an offer in, and you did not get it. So my sellers did go with another offer, and unfortunate. So then we had inspections with the offer, and unfortunately, the buyer, fortunately but unfortunately, buyers ended up walking out. Stupidest reasons, but whatever.
Yeah, actually, in fairness,
they shouldn't have put it that way.
He shouldn't have. Like we had contractors over there, we had inspectors, and we were really trying to hold it together. But then we were like, at the end, we're like, sorry, not sorry. The reason I had the reaction about when it first listed, it was because I knew, just based on how the market was back then, like it was going to go over your price point. I just knew that your guys, because it really was like that standalone home that was like priced just about where you needed to be. And I knew that immediately. And then, but I remember though, it didn't like have some massive bidding war, did it, Jen? Or did it?
No, it wasn't huge.
It was no, because I like remember thinking that we were going to get it. And then it was, we didn't
we had Lauren
like with the Roar. I remember there was a Roarsford home before that, like that we really liked. And you were like, I knew that we weren't going to get it because I knew that we didn't offer enough. And it was like very like,
oh, I read the one on
that one, like there was a lot of offers.
Oh.
Yeah. And then again with like
that was a good one.
There was another one in Perfuminville, was it? Yeah, where it was like they had a cash offer that was like way above, and we're like that. We heard right away that those, and we're like, okay, whatever. But this one, there was like a waiting game, and I was like,
at any point did it get during the offer making process and the search? Did it ever get discouraging?
I don't think. I don't think so.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing that would like get me, like, I would get my hopes up when we would write those letters, because then it makes you sit down and like physically think about all the things that you really want about the house, and so like that for me was like sucked a little bit. But
because you got your emotions involved.
Yeah,
like,
like also,
you're sitting down and putting yourself so emotionally.
My sister was looking for a house at the same time, and so like she was going through the same thing. So we kind of like would tell each other like, okay, it's gonna happen like when it's meant to happen. Like that's just, and I know that people get like their hearts crushed. I'm just like, we can't do that.
You guys were really good buyers that way. Like there was no like having to like scrape you up off the ground as you're like mourning in your sorrows. Like we would move out and we're like, all right, let's keep going.
Yeah, like we had kids to worry about. It was like, okay, that sucks. Our feelings are hurt, but time to move on.
You're like,
you guys, I remember you having a pretty good mindset about it. And because it was like, as soon as you didn't get it, you were like we were right back out, and I think that comes from AJ's
when we did get it. To be honest,
oh my God.
When you were like, oh, you did it, I was like, what?
Yeah.
So, well, then to go back to the story. So while we're under contract, we do these inspections. And I mean, when I tell you that like you guys were so close to not getting this, like we were not arguing, but we were like down to negotiating within like like $2,000 it was over, and it was just like, and like my sellers had already offered so much more than they should have in the first place, and more than I even suggested, and they were just being wildly greedy about it. And I was like, your call. We go back, and we went back on market, and I was like, hey guys, good news.
I feel like that's how we were with the Birdsboro house, and I almost felt guilty because like those people were very accommodating to like what we want, and I was like,
they were.
We're the assholes here, but at the end of the day, it was just like when the doubt planted in my head that I didn't want that house, and like I was telling him, and like it just didn't. It kept growing and growing. I'm like, I don't want. Like I want to keep looking, and I mean,
at the end of the day, it goes to the person it's supposed to go to.
Right, and that's what I like wholeheartedly believe that. Yeah. I'm not kidding. I wholeheartedly.
I think it was because that Lauren wrote that offer letter. That's what the offer
for letter. The house that you're in right now.
Yeah, that love letter.
They did like that, but yeah. So then we went back on market. You guys still want it, and Seth went to work and negotiating, and I wanted to punch him in the face a couple times over it, and I'm like, come on, man.
The mentor and the mentee. It was kind of interesting because you had all the leverage because you had what we wanted. But it was great for us because we had an inspection report. So we were able to take that inspection report.
Yeah, that was nice since we...
And I was happy with the inspection report too.
The inspection report
was not like debilitating. I mean, there was things that I could easily speak to. It was easy to say why the other buyer walked away and that it wasn't justified because we had gotten professionals in to address the things they had issues with, to be able to sign off and say, this is not a big project. And so I was like, sure, I want the inspection report. Here you go.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then you guys got it. So how has life been post homeowner?
Aspen still calls it our new house. And so like it's so funny because we'll be out on the deck and like the neighbors, they have their son's name's Jackson too.
Oh yeah, he was on Jackson's baseball team last year.
Jackson, and there's another neighbor down who also has a Jackson, I'm pretty sure.
Jackson and Hendricks.
Yes. Yeah, the twins.
Yes, the twins. Yep.
But
they were all on the same baseball team, by the way, last season. So Jackson and Hendricks were all on the same baseball team.
Oh, really? They are so nice. They always invite us over when they have stuff going on outside, which is nice because I don't know, we're not the friendliest. You're not grumpy. Actually, I have to say, everyone loves AJ because he's the HVAC guy. So like that big green poker truck that we were so afraid that no one would want us parked there, people will come up. The one neighbor who they moved in around the same time as us, I'm pretty sure, like across the street. Yeah, the guy comes over, hey man, it was like during the heat wave, and he's like, it's not working, and then AJ's like, all right, I gotta go.
Maybe I do need to get a vehicle with my face plastered on it.
Yeah,
just like on my mom mobile, put it on Betty.
Oh, you just put the logo, MillenniUP logo on the on the side of
just try the MillenniUP mobile, whether Lauren was sold on it or not.
Yeah, it was around when she was, I guess, halfway through.
Well, when I got pregnant, we knew we would have to eventually move because we weren't having them share. I mean, we could have had them share, but it wasn't what we wanted. And
January of 22, is that when? Was that
23?
23.
22.
No, I got pregnant. It was January 2022. You're right.
22. Yeah, no, January 22.
Yeah.
It was around when we decided, we gotta get out.
And did you guys have to like save financial, like what was your plan to?
Well, actually, my mom helped us out a lot.
His parents helped us out with
she gave us a good chunk of our down payment, and we just went through with everything.
Did you have to ask her, or did she willingly?
They offered.
They
would
offered.
have never asked. Yeah,
they
offered. And honestly, I mean, we were looking, and I don't know when they offered, but it definitely, like, I don't know if you noticed, but like we got like a little bit more lenient with the houses that we were looking at, because I think that they had the money and they saw that or two parents that were struggling and wanted.
They had just sold their rental property, so they had some extra cash, but they had got caught up in a jam with their current house where they pretty much got the boot, said get out for whatever reasons unrelated. So they had to buy a house like on the spot, like right there, just buy a house, So they found one in Pottstown, and they had some extra cash left over. So they knew we were in the market, and we actually like cross paths searching houses.
Yeah, we're like this one.
Yeah, like we were.
I saw that
yeah, like we're sending each other houses. We're like this one. We're like, oh wait, we're going to see that.
Dude, at that rate, you guys are going to be
get out of here. We're going to see that one.
That's funny.
Yeah, they offered and they helped us out a ton.
Yeah,
I'm surprised, and I think it's coming to household. I think it's coming. It's going to be much more of a thing in the future, and we're going to be recording an episode about like the 5 ways parents can help their kids.
Yeah, I saw your Facebook post, Seth, that you posted about that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm having these conversations with parents, and they're like, "Well, I made it, so." So, it's their turn.
Well,
I'm like,
your parents are also younger. Like, I feel like that's like kind of boomer mentality.
Yeah.
They were also out searching the same time as you two in the same market. I mean, I bought my house in 2017. It's only been 7 years, and I can't even say that.
We bought our house 3 months apart.
Yeah.
So
I just asked those people who are saying that, and they're like older Xers, they're 55 and maybe 60 and higher. But I'm like, what exactly are you trying to teach somebody at the age of 30 who's like giving you grandkids,
right?
And they've done everything right. They've gone to the college. They stayed like it's like most societies in the world do this. Like they give money and they pass money down to the lower generations to get them to come up. And it's like, there's this like fierce individualism that I think is going to have to, I think economically, there's going to be more pressure for parents to do this.
Well, it's like, I have my friend who, her mom is like, she's like, listen, I could leave you a bunch of money when I die, and not like a ton, like massive inheritance, but just like, I have money that you're going to get when I die. Like, you could wait until I die and get it then when you don't need it, or like you can use it now when you need it. Because they were thinking about moving, and she was going to help them also with the down payment. And it's like, if they have this ability to do that, like why wait till they're dead when like you need it now?
Right.
Yeah.
Be able to like get your foot in. So I think we should take a page out of some other cultural books. And
I agree. I could not. Yeah. And I also just like, I feel like just today's being like a parent, like not that we're younger, but I mean, compared to some of the parents in school, we are younger.
Yeah,
I hear you. Listen,
it's like one of the hardest, and it's like one of the hardest times to be a parent, because it's like everyone always says like, oh, you need a village, but like my parents still work, his parents are still working full time. Like we don't really have a village, to be honest. I mean, if we had a village, we wouldn't have had to have you guys do this at 8:30 at night for us. It's like, that's just how the world is. And so for them to be able to help us out in this way, at least helps alleviate some of that for us. I mean, a lot of it for us. So,
yeah. I think that's great. I had forgotten that you were getting help. I don't remember hearing that like your parents were also looking for a house. I don't remember that, but maybe it was just.
It popped up last minute. I
remember your sister was.
Yeah, my sister. Yeah, in New York. Yeah, her house that she's
like a race to who gets it first.
Yeah, like low key. Yeah, it really was. Yeah,
that's how it was.
I think it happened at the exact same time though.
It was probably like a week difference.
Yeah, I don't know.
So what is something that you would recommend somebody who's 3 years behind you, similar situation?
To call
maybe
you
no
guys.
Kids or a kid on the way. Like what's a lesson that you learned? What surprised you about the process? Like talk a little bit, just to open up the floor for you a little bit.
Honestly, I would say to call you guys because you guys have all the answers. But like, I know for me, like I was taking advice from my dad, and my dad, if you're listening to this, just kidding. My dad's a little bit older, so he has that mentality that like you have to put 20% down and this, and everything goes back to, my financial advisor said this, that, and third. I'm a firm believer that like if you wait for things to you be ready for something, you're going to be waiting for the rest of your life. And like,
say it again.
Taking a jump and buying a house, that's scary. It's scary as shit. Having a kid is scary. It's all scary. But like talking to you guys any like major concern we had, and then there's a fly in our house. Any major concern you had, you had an answer to it and helped us out. And like, it's not as scary as you would think. And I don't know if that's because we had you guys, because honestly, before, like back it up to, we said we were working with people before, like we never, Mike too. Mike gets a huge shout out because Mike was really like, when I tell you, when we would look at a house and he would have like the numbers of what we would need to put down, like that's, I'm a very visual person. So that's what I need. Like, I need to know, like, before I go into a house and get my hopes up, like, really,
as a disclaimer to everybody, Mike is the lender that we very, very frequently talk about on this podcast. Just so there's that disclaimer.
Yeah, Mike is the best. You guys,
and like
Lauren too. Let's give a shout out to her too.
Yep,
Lauren.
Yes, not me, Lauren.
Other Lauren.
She's okay.
Her name is not Lauren Hannon. She's married.
But no, it's like, I'm glad you say that because it's something that I like to make a point to do. Sometimes Seth and I have disagreed on this, but I think we've come to a point where we don't disagree too much about it now.
I'm sorry. Wait, what did we just talk about?
Let me finish my thought. Is like, I like when people, like, I like getting the numbers out before we even get out there so that like you can see, you're not distracted when you go into the property to think like, can I even get this? How much is this even going to be? Oh my God, I don't even know. Shut up, Seth.
What she really meant to say is that she was resistant to the right way to do this business, and now she agrees with how I've been doing it for a very, very long time.
Pay no mind to the man on this.
I liked it because we didn't have that before at all. It was kind of just
AJ gets it. AJ gets it. He's smiling.
He thinks you sound like a buffoon. Yeah, it's just good for you guys to be in there and like not be distracted about like what are the numbers going to look like. Like if you already have a piece, like an answer key, and like that's just one less thing to have to think about. And you're like, all right, we already know what it's going to be. Now we can actually look at the house for what it is.
Right. Yeah. So especially when you buy a house, like you're gonna want to put your own touches on it. Even if you buy a perfect house, like it's okay. You are going to want to do a project at first, eventually, like to make your own touches on it. And are you going to have the money to do so? Like, and like, that's also something that like when we walked through houses with you, Seth, we were like for this house, we're like, immediately we liked the house. And I was like, I want the carpets out. And you're like, okay, you gave us a solution for that. And we did it and it worked. And first thing we did was get new carpets.
Yeah, I mean, like the idea of settling the financial picture before you see it, because I don't want you guys walking through the house and saying, like, honey, like, this is all great, but like, I don't know if we can afford it.
Right.
Like, having that reaction is how a client will spin their wheels and spin their wheels and spin their wheels. So I always say we focus on the information that we can control. And we can control how much a payment on a house will cost. We can control looking at the disclosure before we see it. Like we can control certain things. We can get you guys really dialed in on what you really are looking for. Those are the types of pieces of information so that when we do walk through that door, you're able to look at the property for what it is, and you have settled all those other little things in your head already so you don't have to worry about them. And that's really how we get people into homes pretty quickly because we've done all that homework.
Yeah. And especially in this market too, just like needing, like, I've always said, like, I'm not intimidated by needing to move quickly. That's not a problem. So long as like all the prep work has already been done and you've already kind of like done what you need to do. But once you get in to see that house and like that officially goes either from coming soon to active, and then you go in for your showing, it's like you've got another 12 to 24 hours until you better have an offer getting written up to send over.
Yeah.
So you don't want to be like fumbling and making those like financial decisions in a rush. Like you've already had time to think about it, process it. And chances are like when you go to a house, you know pretty off the bat, like, is this it or is it not?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah. I'm going to ask this because we're all friends. Should we talk about it?
Oh my God. I can't believe I forgot.
Should we talk about the box?
The box.
Pull up there.
Oh my God. Yes.
Every one of my boys, I'm going to gift them one of them for their birthdays or like Father's Day or something like that.
Should I preface this also? Actually, Seth, this is your story to tell. You found it. I didn't.
No, I did not find it.
Who found it?
Oh, so
AJ found it.
Yeah, AJ found it. So we're at walkthrough, which is the time when we go.
Say really quick before you say this is before walkthrough, mind you, I had an open house where the attic was open and there were multiple, I had a busy open house, like 30 plus people at the open house through the attic.
I'm pretty sure it was only open because of AJ, by the way.
And you guys are one of the first people
and
there.
He left the stairs down like an
Thanks
asshole.
for that. So most people have been through this house. You guys had been through it a couple of times. I had been there God knows how many times. Whether like being there with my friends who lived there and, you know, following just as a listing agent. Inspection had happened. People had been up there and the sellers had left, took all of their stuff, except something that AJ found during walkthrough. So AJ, what did you?
It was 3 full boxes of like
DVDs.
There
all neatly.
Also dolls. We got rid of the dolls.
Oh yeah, the dolls got taken out. Like
I couldn't have those in the house.
I figured out something to do with the. I'm not.
This
taking
is news to me. I didn't know that
you know, all my boys. If you're watching this, you're gonna get something in the mail.
No. Here's the thing. We're here. We're at walkthrough, and AJ goes like right back up into the attic, and he's
Lauren
like,
and I are downstairs, just like hanging out. Like, oh, this is so great.
Yeah, and AJ's like, hey, bud, can you come up here? And I'm thinking like mold in the attic, like something's wrong, like insulation up there.
No, nothing wrong at all.
Like,
just,
is that like something that
like
the worst things that you could hear on like the final walkthrough?
Yeah.
Like, hey, can you come here?
No, again, Lauren and I are just minding our own business, just walking around. We're in like opposite sides of the house the whole time during walkthrough.
And he's just like, dude, come up here. Look at this shit. And I look over and it's like like a box packed.
There's like over 300.
I heard giggles and I heard
DVDs.
you can't tell Jen. That's what I heard.
Just to put it in reference, there's at least like 300 like DVDs.
I saw them there.
I have the pictures. We can blur out the explicits, but I can show the picture in this episode of just the depth of
whoever
the box
bought
size.
that collection.
They're antiques. Don't you
remember? They're antiques. They're
vintage.
Antiques. But so then it brings us to, we have settlement. Settlement goes great. Settlement is fine. We have a good time, honky dory, everything's happy. We go out to the bar afterwards. The two of you, myself and Mike went out to the bar after to celebrate. And what was it? Mike had already left. Lauren goes to the bathroom and you, AJ, were like, do you know about what was in the attic? And I was like, no, like, oh shoot, like I'm so sorry. Like, did they leave something? Like, I had no.
I found it, and then we went to go buy the house, and then I had to tell her after.
So we're at the bar, and you're telling me you're like, there's like 3 massive boxes of in the attic, and I'm like, there's what? Because mind you, I'm friends with the seller, and I was like, how did they not tell me about it? Why?
It was up in the attic for a reason.
They don't seem like any kind of people, not in this day and age. So I'm like, oh my God. So I text them and I'm like, hey, did you leave something in the attic? And then all he says back in that group chat was, whoa, why do you automatically assume me? Hey, you want to tell her why it's up there? And I was like, what is going on? So now I'm like, it's yours? And she's like, okay, just like, hold on a minute. I was like, and why did you leave it? And they're like, well, what are we going to do with it? It was our chance to get rid of it. It was her father's. And when he passed away, they had to go get all of his stuff and inherit it. And it was like, just throw it in their attic. And they didn't want it. So
yeah, like what are you going to do? Put it on the curb?
Right.
Oh my God. I already had to deal with the boob tube.
That's why we still have it in our attic. We have not done it with it.
I haven't touched it. So
yeah, that house was.
You want it, Seth?
AJ did say that he was going to give it to Grayson on his 18th birthday, but I guess there's new plans now. I'm just along.
You can keep one for him
for the ride. Yeah. It's in Grayson's bedroom is in that room, and
if you go through the titles, they're crazy.
You've gone through the titles.
I mean, just
yeah, you haven't. I go through the picture and I zoomed in and I looked at what all the titles were. I was like,
yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah. The titles will not, unfortunately, be in the episode, but Yeah, that was definitely a memorable experience between that, my physical blood, sweat, and tears that went into that place, painting it practically top to bottom, sanding, crown molding, filling in nail holes in the trim, installing trim.
I mean, she basically like.
Why, thank you, Jen. We love it.
Prep the entire thing.
No problem. And then attic.
Attic. We'll make sure that's a hashtag with all
for a job well done. There you go.
Don't say we never gave you anything for a closing gift.
No. So, any final words of wisdom for anyone who's aspiring to buy a home?
Other than check the attic.
Check the attic.
Make sure there's no. Watch out.
Honestly, it's not as scary as like buying a home sounds, and at the end of the day, everything happens how it's supposed to. And that's like, I live by those words, and I truly believe that for the house hunt. Like, I never, like, yes, it's sad and it was hard, like a couple times when we got our hopes up. But at the end of the day, like, we didn't get this house the first time we tried, and it came back, like, I just came back to it. And I just firmly believe it. I think that like solidified that notion for me that everything happens the way that it's supposed to happen. And it did for us.
Yeah. Well, that's a good way to leave it.
Yep. I was just about to say the same thing. So I appreciate you guys getting on. AJ, go to bed.
Yeah, right. He's gonna game. Don't let him kid you. He's gonna get a shower.
I need a shower. That's one thing I need to do.
Nice.
All right. Well, thanks for hopping on, guys. And anyone you know needs any help, just let us know.
Of course.
We definitely will.
All right,
guys.
Bye.